Good morning, everyone. It is April 17th, and I've been getting a lot of questions as to why I haven't posted a map video. And the simple answer is just not a lot has been going on in Ukraine. And I'm going to explain why or what we're seeing right now and what's going on, just so you can kind of get an idea just how little movement on the battlefield there has been. But the biggest reason for the little movement is because Russia's currently culminating offensive that they decided to undertake over recent months was really poorly timed. They decided to try to conduct offensive operations during Ukrainian mud season. And when I mean mud season, I mean crazy mud. This is what they're dealing with in trenches in Ukraine. I mean, you can see that you're not going to have a whole lot of mobility, and this causes problems for vehicles. Even tracked vehicles have problems in the level of mud these guys are experiencing. So because of that, we're just not going to see any kind of movement. And the fact that Russia decided to conduct their offensive during this mud season is indicative of just a lack of planning and understanding of how much weather plays an effect on the battlefield. Ukraine set up defensive positions in Bakmut to deal with Russia, but Russia decided to conduct offensive operations in this kind of condition, which is kind of silly. So, with that in mind, Ukraine hasn't conducted their offensive. They're going to wait for this mud season to end. They're going to wait for it to dry out, which is why I don't expect to see them moving anytime this month. We probably likely won't see any kind of movement on the battlefield. And that video of the mud was from 7 days ago. So it's not like that was in February or something. That was 7 days ago on the fronts of Ukraine. So with regard to moving forward, I really just don't expect any kind of counteroffensives or any big push from Ukraine until at least May, if not near the end of May, to try and give them the best position, because Russia cannot regenerate its forces fast enough, even giving them that additional 3 to 4 weeks to build up. They just won't be able to regenerate fast enough. So what are we looking at when it comes to what has happened since January 15th? January 15th is roughly when Russia started launching its offensive operations, these recent offensive operations, and really they didn't kick into high gear until around the 25th. But this was what the map looked like, this was what the map looks like now. This is what we're looking at now. This is what it looked like on January 15th. So pay particular attention to a couple of places. I mean, we have up in the north here, up in here, and then you have Bakmut, and then you have the Volodar region. All of those. This is January 17th. Sorry, January 17th. This is April 17th. January 17th, April 17th. That's 4 months. 4 months. You can see that the front lines somewhat moved forward throughout this region here. They've moved forward on the line that runs from Bakmut to Volodar, but it's not as much as you'd think. I mean, for 4 months of operations and the tens of thousands of Russians that have died, we're not seeing a whole lot. So just kind of gaining an idea of what Russia gained during their quote-unquote winter offensive. So when we move in closer on places like Bakmut, which is the big focus right here, this is January 17th. This is what it looked like 4 months ago. 4 months of fighting, tens of thousands of soldiers dead. This is what they gained. Bakmut isn't still completely taken by the Russians. Going back and forth, January 17th to today. And yes, Russia has taken territory, but it was in a calculated manner that Ukraine was giving territory while taking lives. They're trading ground for troops. They believed in this scenario they have the ability to inflict more casualties and more damage on Russian equipment than Russia could take meaningful ground. And that has happened. I mean, we're still dealing with fighting over Bakmut, and I think every week the Russian bloggers and the Russian trolls and bots come out and say Bakmut is falling. It hasn't yet. Can't make any predictions on whether it will or not, but Ukraine is trading small pieces of ground, block by block fighting in Bakmut to kill Russians, and that is what they're doing. So what we are seeing, though, is Russia, since the offensive, moving out to a bigger, broader view, has only gained 0.2% or 0.2% of Ukrainian territory since December. And this includes their recent offensive operations that have taken place over the last 4 months. And I showed you those gains. Yes, Russia has gained some territory, but 0.2% of Ukrainian territory for the amount of equipment, money, and lives they gave up is staggeringly pathetic. It's very much a problem for Russia, especially when they should have been the overwhelming force. When you look at the big picture, though, currently Russia has taken about 17% of Ukraine, the total country of Ukraine. Over here, don't pay attention to this. This is Moldova. This is the Transnistria region. This whole area over here is all Transnistria. So this is what we're looking at for all the Russian, what Russia has taken. Okay. All of this red right here is Russia. All of this dark red throughout here is the Ukrainian territory Russia has taken. Below is Crimea. I'm not showing Crimea right now. But Russia has taken about 17% of Ukraine when you count the gains from 2014. So when Russia took Crimea in 2014, this is the gains they have made over time throughout both of those wars. And it's barely been just a continuous war since then. It just kind of stagnated throughout the 2014 to 2022 period. However, at one point, Russia had 25% of Ukraine. And you can see that throughout. You have the Kyiv region. You have up in here in Kharkiv, up in the Kharkiv region. And then down here where Kherson is. All of that was retaken by Ukraine. Ukraine has taken back 8% of the territory Russia had originally. Originally, Russia had 25% of Ukraine. Ukraine has taken back 8%, and currently Russia has about 17% of Ukraine, which includes the whole Donbas region, Crimea, etc. We're not really sure what the future Ukrainian offensives look like or what that's going to do encompass, but we do know that previous offensives have taken broad swaths of territory from Russia, including in Kherson and in the Kharkiv region and up here. Yeah, Kharkiv's down here. I don't know why I pointed up here, but this is up near Sumy. But they have taken back territory in Kharkiv, up near Sumy, near around Kyiv, and down in Kherson. So it's definitely possible that more territory could be taken, and we'll see what happens with this future offensive from Ukraine. But that's kind of where we're at. There just hasn't been a lot going on, so I haven't conducted a lot of map operations for you guys or shown you a lot of map stuff. But here you go. This kind of gives you a broad overview of what's going on. When things pick up, as I hope they would pick up for the Ukrainians, and I hope they have the capability to take back territory, I will report on it more consistently. But for now, this is where we're at.